Let's talk about feedback in your online course. In this video, we will look at why should you collect feedback and what are two different feedback methods that you can implement today. Let's take a look. Hi, my name is Kat from The Stellar Way, and I'm here to help you be able to design, create, and launch your online course. Feedback is important and you should collect it because it will help you to improve your course over time. It will help you to improve the learning experience that you provide to your students. It will help you to be able to make sure that your content is up to date. And it also helps you to collect market research along the way, which we'll have a look at in one of our feedback type examples later in this video. There are two different types of feedback. And these feedback methods are what I call direct feedback and indirect feedback. And what these mean is that direct feedback means that you as the course creator are intentionally seeking feedback from your students, and your students are intentionally sending you feedback. So there's that intention, or they are consciously doing on both sides, you as the course creator and the student. That is direct feedback. Indirect feedback is the opposite, when the student is not intentionally or not consciously sending you feedback. So that is when we look at data, when we look at behaviors, when we read between the lines. So let's take a look at some examples of direct feedback and indirect feedback so you can start to implement this in your course today. So let's start with direct feedback. Different types of direct feedback include feedback forms. And this is the most obvious when we start to think about feedback. We think, let's quickly put a form into our course, or at the end of our course, or at the end of our program or our product that our students have downloaded. Let's then send a feedback form to collect information and to collect feedback. And this is not a bad option. This is a great option, but it's not the only option that you should use for your feedback. And if you do only depend on this feedback, you could overwhelm your students by constantly sending feedback forms and them feeling like you are saying, how am I doing now? And how about now? And how do you feel now? And it can be a bit overwhelming to the point that you are demotivating someone to share feedback with you. So some other methods that you can do is a like or a dislike button, or a rating scale that you have seen before, a star rating scale. Now, these are really good as part of feedback forms, but you also will see the like and the dislike button on YouTube videos, for example, where you can say like or dislike. You may also see them on help guides. If you've ever read a help guide online before, you can see the thumbs up, thumbs down the bottom. You might have a rating system at the end of a particular lesson to collect feedback on that lesson. So something where someone can quickly click a button and send you feedback. These two feedback methods should be part of your continuous improvement strategy so that you're doing this over time. Some other methods of your continuous feedback strategy should be emails. So whether you email the feedback form to someone to collect feedback who hasn't completed it yet, or whether you send an email directly asking for feedback in that email where someone then replies to you with a very open response. Other ways that we can receive this open feedback are through interviews. So when we do select direct feedback through interviews, there are multiple interview styles that we can use. Let's delve into that one a little bit. So there are 4 types of interview styles that I would like to share with you. The first one is a one-on-one. So that's a simple one-on-one interview where you are asking very direct questions about a particular service or product, so your course, for example. But you can also do group sessions where you are asking that direct feedback or those direct questions to a group of people. You can also do this in forums. So they might be discussion forums where you are asking questions, whether it's in a Facebook group, for example, where you are seeking feedback in a forum style. Or you can also do focus groups. Now these two last ones, forums and focus groups, they can kind of sit between direct feedback and indirect feedback. So they kind of sit between the two. Because, for example, in a focus group, you might give a question that's not directly seeking feedback, and then through your observations of the focus group is how you collect the feedback, which is indirect, because people are not directly giving you feedback. You are observing something happen, an activity, and collecting feedback. So let's have a look at different types of indirect feedback. So we have an intention setting survey. Now this is something that I enjoy doing at the beginning of my courses, where I ask my students to set their intentions. So they are questions such as, what is your goal? Why do you want to do this course? What are you currently struggling with? What does your course look like in 6 months? These are just examples of what you can ask. And in the indirect feedback, it is not that intention setting survey that collects the feedback. It can't be done alone. It needs to be combined with a reflection activity later on in the course. So later in the course, you would add a question that's a reflective activity and ask your students to reflect back on their intention setting activity at the beginning of the course. And how do they now feel on their journey to reach their goal? So this is purely an activity for your students. But in the responses, when you read in between the lines, you are able to ascertain, do people feel good about what they've achieved so far? Do they feel that they're lacking support? Can something be improved? And so you are seeking those type of questions in the feedback that you've collected, or in the responses from your students. Likewise, students will ask a lot of questions through your course, and you might have platforms for them to ask you questions directly or in discussion forums or in Facebook groups, wherever they may be. But these questions that are being asked, it means that someone does not have the clarity that they need, or they do not yet have the information that they need. So they need further clarification. Maybe that means that your course is lacking that clarification, or maybe it hasn't yet been built into your course. So it might be market research for future courses. Now, other types of information that you can collect, apart from the data that you've collected from surveys, or the data that you've collected from these intention setting activities and the questions asked, other data that you can collect is people's completion rates on both the course itself or on lessons, and also on the videos that they've watched. So having that statistical data also helps you to ascertain if someone's going through your course. If not, how can you motivate them to go through your course, or what needs to change on these particular activities? This might be great feedback from you that one of these videos is broken, or maybe an activity isn't working and people are not seeing it. It's also feedback to make sure that we go and update our content. And finally, responses to activities. So these might be responses to quizzes, they might be responses to surveys, or they might be responses to scenarios. What we're looking for here is for people who have the wrong response. So this is useful for quizzes or scenarios when someone is responding incorrectly to an activity. Now there will be there's multiple reasons why someone would respond incorrectly, but let's look at two. For example, you could have a student that needs additional support and they are not absorbing the information. They need more than just an online course. So in regards to that, that student individually needs help. And the way that I look at that is by looking at statistics. So let's say that 1 out of 10 students got the question wrong. Then I can say that one person needs additional help. But then the other side of that is, let's say that 9 people or 8 people got the question wrong. Then do I assume that 8 or 10 people need additional help? Or can I start to say, what's wrong with my content that's causing these people to get the question wrong? So that gives me the opportunity to be able to go and review my content and make sure that I am adapting it to what my students need. So that is an overview on 2 different types of feedback methods that you can start implementing today. So you don't need to depend on just a feedback form. There are so many other methods for you to be able to collect feedback. Now, each week on my YouTube channel, I do add a new video. So if you have any questions, or if you do want something in particular to course creation demonstrated, let me know in the comments below. Also, if you are just starting out with your course creation journey, make sure you download my course curriculum template, which you can access from the comments below as well. Until next time, happy course creating.